I am happy to announce the first ever official Stripe the Squid movie. It will have a $5 increase for my normal videos and include one new character voiced by a random celebrity you'll never see again. Tell your friends! Movies based on cartoons are so interesting to me. You take a popular cartoon, you give them a slight boost in budget that's noticeable, but not enough to be truly cinematic, get a few celebrities, have a bunch of random songs, and boom! You have the only 2D animated films that ever get released in theaters anymore. But whether it's a big theatrical release or just made for TV, these things have always felt like an event for me. So for my first top 35 on films, I want to highlight my favorite films based on cartoons. Now some rules. No films based on anime. Top 35 anime films is coming sometime, I have no idea. I'm very behind on stuff, probably 2024. This is just animated films, no live action films based on cartoons, and most importantly, I am not including Barnyard or Jimmy Neutron. I know that the shows are more iconic than the films, but the movies did come out first. By that logic, I can include Aladdin. So grab some popcorn and get ready to say, wait, wasn't there already an episode? Because these are the top 35 movies based on cartoons.
Can't believe we're paying to see something we get on TV for free.
The Simpsons movie. I'm gonna get a lot of pushback for this barely making the list, but this is very much a one step forward, two steps back film. This is a film with one of the single greatest scenes in Simpsons history, where Marge explains why she left Homer record over their wedding, with a bunch of great jokes throughout, and a really funny villain. And of course, when they converted real life 7-Elevens to Quickie Marts, meaning Moe exists in real life. But it's also got some utterly pointless moments. Like the entire scene in Alaska is complete filler. Despite the complete and utter chokehold Spider-Pig had, he's been forgotten super quickly. There's a shocking amount of focus on Bart's Willie, and Lisa gets a boyfriend, who is so forgotten, he seemingly isn't one of the 750 characters, including the 750 episode, which instead includes Great Gazoo. It's an extremely mixed film, but I'd say the good outweighs the bad. It's also pretty important to me as the first PG-13 film I saw in theaters. Heck, it might be the first one I've seen at all. A rocky ride to be sure, but one I do not regret.
Movie on the big screen.
Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Attention. We're looking for the chick with big boobs.
Twitter be like, I wasn't alive when this film came out, but I so do miss the time where a film like this could be released in theaters. There's just not a lot of people doing America nowadays. Besides for, of course, is a politician you hate here. Beavis and Butthead are poster boys of characters who can work in more or less any situation. So them being a part of a big criminal conspiracy, really just kind of stumble upon solving the problem while attempting to score works. Really, this film asks you a very important question. Can you stomach an hour and a half of Beavis and Butthead noises? If so, you are a strong man. Stronger than Cornholio himself. Regular Show the movie. This sadly falls into the trap of a lot of films based on cartoons, where it just feels like a long episode instead of a true movie, which is strange considering that Regular Show can be cinematic, like the finale or even Exit 9B. But I do still quite enjoy this one. Regular Show has a strict formula of starting normal before Rigby eats a sandwich that wipes out all of Australia. This is something similar. Starting with a normal routine, and then volleyball coach McGee comes in and resets the universe. There's a future version of all the characters. They all die graphically on screen. This Regular Show does not care what standards and practices. I wouldn't say it's as funny as the show usually is. It's pretty clear that the show works better as a show than a film. I mean, it's not called Regular movie, you know? But hey, I can't think of many other films that have someone high-fiving their future dead corpse. So I'll gladly go to the future to stop this film from forging a note that stops me from going to college. I'm not good at ending segments. The Powerpuff Girls movie. Oh god, does this one hurt. This was initially made to be a start of CN-based theatrical films. They just made one ginormous slip-up. The title has a girl in it. No boy is gonna get caught dead in the theaters. And this was before the MLP explosion, where it was more acceptable for adults to be in this kind of thing. So it bombed so hard that it killed any future CN film besides Teen Titans Go, and even then, that's still a DC film. It hurts seeing the intro with all the CN characters, and we'll never see any of them in any film. It hurts even more when people bring this up to compare it to this ad to mock modern CN, as if this isn't from a decade ago, and that the old ones didn't really backfire, and that of course a title screen for all CN films would have more characters than a short lead into a TV movie. You are all sheep! So the Powerpuff Girls film is weird. They wanted to make it much darker than the show, and they succeeded, albeit in a weird way. This is a prequel to the show, and I like seeing Mojo as an actual threat, but then you realize he went from this to shrinking the girls to thinking they wet the bed. I do like the girls' whole arc, being seen as freaks, balancing their powers with being children who are in touch with their powers. It's a super fun origin. What isn't fun is Fuzzy's eyes. Why is he like this? Well, it's a bit rocky at parts, Powerpuff Girls the movie still packs one heck of a punch that I still enjoy. Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Yeah, I don't see why I shouldn't count. The original Peabody and Sherman shorts are fun, but held back a bit by their low budget. This really helped giving it a huge scope that it needed. I think this film really works well with both being a super grand in all the places they go and how fast-paced it is, to more down-to-earth parts back at home, with Peabody trying to show that he's a man, not a dog, and his relationship with Sherman. It's a cute film, not one of DreamWorks' best, but it's a great time. Cause it's about time travel! Oh, and I guess I need to play with this scene.
Sherman, I've got to get you out of here before you touch yourself.
We Bare Bears the movie. How can you simultaneously be really clever and heartfelt and be so cringy that I think I lost several inches of height for how much I recoiled into my chair? The show has always hinted at how the bears came together and how much they mean to each other, and it was so great seeing that all come together. Grizz's arc here is great, and really helps him come to his own as a character, and Agent Trout is a surprisingly great and threatening villain for a series whose previous big bad is a koala who's a TikToker. But also, why are there so many references to old memes here? Like, not completely out of nowhere, this is a show where one of the main characters carries around a body pillow, so modern references aren't out of the picture, but I did not need a full couple minutes of the bears of dabbing Fortnite dancing. Also, Pizza Rat is here, despite an earlier episode having their own equivalent to Pizza Rat called Bagel Rat. This is completely retconning the sacred Holy We Bare Bears canon freaking garbage movie! But anyway, I'm sure this is cringy, so I can look past it for the funny and the sad and all this stuff. I can dab past the pain, so it isn't completely unbearable. Rocko's Modern Life Static Cling. This barely qualified as a movie, just seeing the bare minimum for film length. It's still listed as one though, so I can count it. Reboots can be kinda cringe, and this does hit some of the same common reboot jokes, like why does every cartoon revival include a drone joke? But seeing as talking about modern stuff is literally in Rocko's name, it doesn't bother me as much. The charm of the show is very much still intact. From the actually clever commentary, to the relatability of it, to the humor that makes you say, wow, get away with this back then. But it's not back then, it's now. You guys are paying attention to trends. And also I know where you live. There's so many little nods to the show shoved into this short film that as a Rocko fan, I just have to love it. And obviously, I gotta mention this.
I'm not Ralph anymore. I'm Rachel.
Yeah, people got mad at this, because of course they did, but the idea of Rachel transitioning was actually pitched in an old interview, and it fits with her arc in the old episodes, like the now very appropriately named I Have No Son. Rachel walked so Bridget could run.
Subscribe to my channel.
OMG, bestie, so true! Ben 10, Secret of the Omnitrix. There's a handful of Ben 10 films, both animated and live action, but something about this one hits so well. After a mishap with the Omnitrix, Ben needs to reset it before it self-destructs, taking the universe with it. I've used Just a Longer Episode in the past, but this is one of the good kind, where it feels like just more than that, an extension on what we already love. They're not taking it to super high heights. I said before that Ben 10 has among my favorite art styles and animation in any cartoon, and it's on full display here with the fight scenes. Fun fact, there are 3 different versions of this film, all the exact same, but Ben turns into 1 of 3 different aliens during the beginning fight. Frick zodiac signs. What secret of the Omnitrix alien did you pick? Do you go with Eye Guy because he's by far the least used of the 3? Or do you go with Heat Blaster Accelerate because Eye Guy sucks balls? Also, they include a female member of Vilgax's species named Myrax. Can't believe they made Vilgax less hot. Transformers the movie. If you know me, you know I follow one code. I think all children should suffer. That's why I love Transformers the movie so much. They thought it would be absolutely hilarious to brutally murder all the characters you've grown up with, one by one, in graphic detail. Horrific, but genuinely really pulls the heartstrings every single time. Yes, this was just Transformers, ways to kill off an old toy and produce shiny new ones in disguise. But God, those toys look so cool! Especially Unicron, a great big bad, voiced by freaking Orson Welles, director and star of Citizen Kane. Fun fact, he said that this entire movie was just about toys killing toys, and he doesn't understand it. Then he died 5 days after recording. Oof. And the soundtrack here slaps. There's so many great rock songs. And Weird Al sings the song, and he sounds the exact same now as he did nearly 4 decades ago. Optimus Prime was killed to give Weird Al eternal youth. Animaniacs Wacko's Wish. Making Animaniacs' only film a Christmas special is definitely an interesting take, but one that majorly worked out. Really just a basic film, where the gang try to find a wish that'll make them happy. But being that this is Animaniacs, it's funny. Thank God. All the characters are themselves, despite taking place outside the normal canon of the show, so the Warners are still their clever, quippy selves. Pinky and the Brain are still scheming and arguing with each other, despite caring for each other, Slappy is still wanted for manslaughter, and so on. Also, the songs. I remember hearing all these songs in various old AMVs long before I saw the film or even the original show, but I forgot about them, and I was absolutely blindsided by the weirdest sense of nostalgia when I heard these and realized they were from this. And those are the facts. Foster's Home Destination Imagination. As I detailed in my standalone video on this topic, Foster's Home is a frustrating show. Since it's so close to perfection, it tends to be really inconsistent in terms of characterization and writing. Destination Imagination is one of the best examples on firing on all cylinders though. Frankie is pretty easily the best written character in the series, so it makes sense to have this film focus on her and her struggles of carrying both the house and the show on her shoulders. Here, she tries to lose some stress by bonding with a new experiment named World, who controls an entire pocket dimension where he can create anything. The main Foster's gang still gets time to shine though, like in that scene where they play the Chris Pratt game. Foster's is at his best when it shows his heart, and this film freaking Mortal Kombat's that fricker into full view. Mostly thanks to the resolution of the film, with everyone accepting Frankie and World turning a new leaf. In a world of infinite imagination, this film is the home I want to visit. Blue still did nothing wrong. Rugrats in Paris. Oh! That's what that Jay-Z and Kanye song is about. The first Rugrats film is, whatever. I like the stuff with the reptile mobile and Tommy attempting to murder his brother, but it's too annoying baby noises for me. Dill is a blight upon humanity. Paris, on the other hand, completely fixes everything. It's funnier, it made me bawl my eyes out during the scene with Chucky's mom, and Kimmy is a much better addition than Dill, but that's saying nothing at all. Also, the whole gimmick is that they're in Paris. They immediately go to a Japanese-inspired theme park. Come on, Nick, just fully capitalize on the weeb demographic. We all know they love underage children. I can't put that in the video. It's all okay when they have a freaking kaiju battle, though. Clearly a film about actual, literal babies needs a fight between Godzilla and a giant snail. Rugrats in Paris. Proof babies are completely useless. The other piece of evidence is that they can be used as food. Fairy Odd Parents Channel Chasers. I love that Nick made so many big TV movies back in the day. Fairy Odd Parents probably got the most of them. Abracatastrophe, Goes Out, and Fairy Idol are all really fun specials that were so hyped when I was growing up. Wishology makes it that this show now has an Oscar winner in it, and that's really funny. But the best is clearly Channel Chasers. Timmy is tired of how mistreated he is, so decides to go into the TV world, where Vicky later follows him. What makes this so memorable is the many parodies of various cartoons that they go to. While I do wish the art styles were more close to their sources, it's so cool to see all these references and animation in-jokes. Surprisingly enough though, the emotional part of this film actually hits well too, with Timmy's parents realizing they are the literal, actual worst parents in Nick history. Yes, this does include Ozai, and of course the ending, which shows an older Timmy, who's forgotten Cosmo and Wanda and has a family, who fun fact, have the traits of all of his potential love interests, but still loves his memories of them. Most people say this film should have been the ending of the series. I don't know if I would go that far, as it would erase some things I enjoyed, like some of the previously mentioned films, but you know, I actually would sacrifice that if it also takes out Crocker and Vicky dating. Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo. Teen Titans was arguably the start of the slow animification Western animation had, so it makes sense to stop pulling punches and just straight up go to Tokyo. Basically, the Titans feel there's a villain in Tokyo. They go there, that's what you'd expect. But also Teen Titans is epic, so it's not a bad thing. The big thing here is that they teased the thing the show is also teased for 65 gosh freaking dang hecking episodes, the Robin Starfire kiss. They even take it out twice. The fight scenes honestly aren't as good as some of the show's best, but they're still fun. I mean, you have Robin covered in Danganronpa. What's not to love? A really fun movie that's a better finale than the actual one. Also, yes, I did genuinely consider the Teen Titans Go to the movies, but one per series stopped that in its place. Be honest, you guys know nothing about that besides the funny meme song. Don't lie to me! Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the Rare Rabbit. Again, don't see why it shouldn't count. There really isn't much to say here. What you see is what you get. Stop motion is do be the banger. Gromit's silent comedy is on point. There is a reason why Gromit mugs are holy artifacts. It's really funny, it's great. I think deep diving into it would ruin its charm. You see, the British are good for some things. Futurama, Bender's Big Score. Futurama has had 4 direct-to-DVD films, and they're all really great. And by that I mean not the second one. It ignores all the developments from the first movie, has an extremely uncomfortable premise, and isn't even that funny.
Your firstborn son.
Daddy! Here you go.
But out of all of them, the best is definitely the first one. It feels the most Futurama-y of all the films, focusing mostly on characters and locations already established, and focuses on a colony of nudists taking over Bender's mine and time traveling to steal expensive items, so the crew must build an army of robots, and there's also a time traveling Fry who's trying to steal Fry's girlfriend. I have written many sentences in my life, but I gotta admit, out of all the sentences I've written, that's one of them. This is just a fun film. It's easily the funniest of the four, Bender's little twist at the end is great, and the song with Robot Santa might be my favorite song in the series. Plus there's a lot of very obvious slams at Fox canceling and then uncanceling them, but it's great. I hate Fox, Melee joke, and of course, how could I forget? This is the film that introduces my favorite Futurama character, Xylex. Where would we be without him? Straight out of nowhere, Scooby-Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog. Just once. I want to title it isn't a million words. Oh, and before you yell at me, this is a Courage movie before Scooby one. It takes place in Courage's world more. The villains are from Courage. Literally the only reason anyone was interested in this film was because of Courage. So don't worry, I will still talk about the Scooby-Doo Kiss film. Anyways, that's the last setup for a film I have nothing new to add, since I covered it in my Courage video. Go watch that, by the way. I didn't find the only pair of overalls under $100 for you to not. God, Usage Shirtless is so hot. Kim Possible still the drama. So here's a fun story. This is supposed to be the end of the show, which is pretty clear from watching it. The will they won't they between Kim and Ron is finally put to an end, with the two getting together. Dragon is an actual threat instead of a silly, which I've noticed the trend in these films. Wraps up the series perfectly. Too bad this was made at a time where Disney cares about their shows. Series revived for a 4th season, despite this being a definitive wrap-up. Oops. Still, this is a great film. It's slightly more serious than the show, again, mostly thanks to Dragon, and with his boyfriend to Kim, she's actually a robot. I can relate.
Why would you say such mean things? I thought you loved me.
No, baby, I didn't mean that. I love you. I still love you. Don't worry. This is a long story. Don't answer. Well, I do genuinely love season 4, and would honestly say it's my favorite season of the show. I still think if the show ended here, it would still be fantastic. I just love STD. Could always go with more STD. Recess, School's Out. So I already discussed this film in my video comparing Recess to Craig of the Creek, so I don't got much to say. It's a very fun little film, which takes the calm friends hanging out vibe of the show and takes it to the not even remotely logical conclusion of an evil principal trying to freeze the earth. But gosh darn it, it's just so fun that I can look past it. The heart of the show, with childhood vibes, are still there. And I love the evolution of the teachers' relationships with the students. Class is in session, and this film is getting an A. Hey Arnold, the Jungle Movie. Talk about a long time coming. This film was teased back in 2004, but for a variety of reasons was trapped in development hack for years until 2017. I'd say it was worth it though. This follows up on a long-held question of what happened to Arnold's parents. Was Arnold and his friend going to, you guessed it, the jungle? This is a really fun film. From the really funny and surprisingly brutal villain, to the long-awaited return of the parents after the world's longest milk run, it even brings back almost every voice actor, even some who grew up yet still sound enough like their characters. It also changed a lot of the character designs. Most are fine, but it did take some time to adjust to Arnold and Gerald's noses. I don't like it. It is an epic film though. I thought that was clear by the high rating. Also, they made Arnold's undershirt more pronounced so people wouldn't think it's a skirt. I miss it. South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. You know you're in good hands when the title is a dick joke. One of the most highly praised films based on a cartoon, but watching it, I noticed something kind of interesting. A lot of this film is just bashing the people who've criticized South Park in the past. The entire film is an extremely unsubtle commentary on people trying to censor the show, all while being a theatrically released film that made $1 billion. With how much people hate cartoons bashing their audience nowadays, I wonder how people would react to this if it was released today. It does though have the advantage of being really good. I'll admit I didn't laugh super often, but when I did laugh, I laughed hard. But what really puts it here are the songs. Every single one of them, without question, is a banger. It's a bit weird going back to this, and seeing characters who are mainstays nowadays are now existent or minor in the film. Most notably Randy, who's like the new main character of the show, and maybe gets like 3 minutes screen time here. I have so many end jokes I can use to end this segment here, but if I say any single one of them, this video will get repressed, so I'm just gonna move on to the next segment, I guess. Dexter's Lab Ego Trip. Another short one. This is just a perfect way to translate a show to a film. Again, it expands everything. It takes a silly villain to a true menace. It gives us super hot guys who make me question so many things. And like, this film reminded me how funny this show was. I love that it's simultaneously this genuine evolution of the series. It also just completely walks back on everything in a smart way. Another way I don't have much to say. It's a great time. Watch a version on YouTube that has a bunch of ads. And just like Dexter, you'll be transported back in time. Hilda the Mountain King. Hilda is a show I hold really dear. I'll make a video about it eventually once I get a good enough idea, but the movie, while not as amazing as the show, is still a great time. Taking place directly after season 2, Hilda has been turned into a troll, and she needs to go back to her old blue hair and pronounced self, while getting help from the troll who was imprisoned, as her mom and friends attempt to get her back. It's what I love about the show. The whimsical feel, the heart, the visuals are still beautiful. The soundtrack really stands among my favorite instrumental soundtracks in any film. I was worried about them trying to wrap up a full season's worth of plot points in one film, and while I do wish some characters like Frida, David, and Kaisa got more attention, it mostly did a great job. The poster's a bit unfortunate though.
Penis!
Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension. I vividly remember when this film was being released. You couldn't escape it. Trailers played every commercial break. There were posters and toys for it. This might be the biggest release any made-for-TV film had, and for kid me and adult me, it's worth it. Every film here pretty much has a big rule of the show they decided to break, and this has two. Phineas and Ferb meet Doof, and Perry reveals he's an agent. Both of these bring so much to the table that it shook 11-year-old me's life more than anything any film could do in the last decade. We all know the Two Nickels bit, but overall, this is an endlessly quotable film, especially when it comes to its songs, which include so many bangers and fan favorites. Summer Where Do I Begin, Brand New Best Friend, Brand New Reality. Every song here is among the show's best. I love the sequel too. It's also got a lot of great songs. Possibly the funniest joke in the entire series, but I just can't justify saying it's better. The plot is mostly a complete retread of unfair science fair redux. It has way too many drawn out jokes. It also lacks a Goosum, which as has been established means it's a bad film. Goosums have appeared in every single Oscar-winning film after all. Codename, Kids Next Door, Operation Zero. Okay, so we know how horrifically Transformers frick people up, but we are sleeping on how awful and terrifying this film is for kids. Every single character you grown up with and love, yeah, they're all horrific zombie creatures now. Father is just a goofy villain? Well, yeah, that's true. They also brainwashed and kidnapped 5 children, while seemingly dying on screen, despite not having any control over their actions. I have no idea what's going on with whoever made this film, but I love it. The most dangerous villain from the K&D's past, Grandfather, has emerged, and now Nigel and his now recommissioned father have to stop him. This is a great balance of the funny, mostly thanks to Father, and a surprisingly great emotional moments. Like genuinely, the ending with Monty sacrificing his chance to be an operative so he can be Nigel's father got me to cry. The film where zombie children work at a tapioca pudding factory made me cry. Much as the family and friends can help pull you through anything, even other adults who might pull you down, is great, even if it's one I already knew, since I beat up old people instinctively. Battle stations, everyone. This is one film to commission yourself for. Steven Universe, the movie. This movie had an uphill battle, bridging the original series and future, and I personally thought it did it well. Again, personally, I'll go more into that in November. Everything seems hunky-dory, God White. Everything seems good for Steven. Before a new gem comes in causing a fuss, and now Steven has to try and make things right. Despite being a TV movie, there is a small bump in animation, which really makes the song sequences pop. And speaking of the songs, while I do wish they were longer, these are all jams, like most Steven songs. It's honestly a shame how few songs this show has, because when they really put their all into them, you can most certainly tell. The real make or break of this is Spinell. If you love her, you'll love the movie. If you hate her, you'll hate the movie. This is mostly revolved around her arc and Steven helping her through it. Spinell is easily my favorite character in the series after Peridot, so yeah, kinda like this film. With that said, I am a little disappointed the secondary cast is kinda shoehorned in, but that's not enough to ruin it. Listen, I know this show is an easy punching bag, but if you don't like this film,
something is clearly wrong. Everyone believes in.
Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. There are 45 Scooby films. This is not a joke. This is not me pulling out a high number for the funny. This is how many films there are. And while it's not the first, Zombie Island did start a trend of these being yearly, and it's easily the best. It's got the big old hook of, this time, the monsters are real. Granted, at this point in the series, there's probably more examples of real monsters than fake ones, This isn't even the first time a real monster in the series, but it's so cool, gosh dang it! It's got the normal Scooby plot of a monster is monstering, and they suspect the guy who's innocent before the monster gets caught, but even before the obvious twist of it's real, there's some new additions here. For one, they bully a completely innocent guy, who's rightfully pissed at them for ruining his flowers he spent weeks on, and completely dismisses his valid hangups. The other thing is the zombies aren't even the real villains. Instead, the zombies are a group of long-cursed individuals who are forced to walk the world, unable to move on, despite wanting to because a magic woman cursed them. Oh my god, this is the plot of Paranorman. Anyways, this film was great. Which is why number 9 is WrestleMania Mystery Baby, that's right! Goofy movie. I've known people who viciously despise Mickey Mouse, but I've never met a soul who hates Goofy. His comedy is far more genuine than other Disney characters. His voice is more inherently funny, and of course, this film exists. A Goofy movie stands alongside Emperor's New Groove as the only universally loved Disney product. I mean, it's a hard film to hate, from its endlessly quotable dialogue, animation that leaps and bounds around the original show, and so many great songs. Everyone knows Eye to Eye, but I'll die on the hill that Open Road is top 10 Disney songs. What really ties everything together is Goofy himself. He's funny, obviously, but he's also just such a genuinely great dad that, God, I just love everything he does. This is how I strive to raise the 37 kidnapped children that live in my basement. Also, this film just randomly stops to include Bigfoot, and it still works. That's how you know this isn't just a normal movie. This is a Goofy movie. Ed, Edd n Eddy's Big Picture Show. What is there to say about this film that hasn't been said before? Big Picture Show is held in super high regard within the animation community, and it's well deserved. All the main 13, yes, I will always include Plink, my beloved, are surprisingly well developed here, all getting their own small subplot as the kids chase the Eds for doing some scam that's so horrific, so horrendous, that they can't even tell us what it is. But it leads to many great jokes and character moments with everyone in the main cast. But of course, what everyone knows about this film is the final 5 minutes. After the entire series built up Eddie's brother as such a cool guy, we finally get to see him in action. And he's awful. The second this guy showed up, everything fell in place onto why Eddie is the way he is. Plus, it's great to see all the kids finally standing up for the Eds. Also, I've been told Eddie's brother goes like me.
Over there is the sun. In exactly 3 hours, it will detonate while I escape in my anti-sun rocket.
For being as clear as you'd expect from the show, to a great wrap-up for all these characters, it's pretty easy to see the big picture here. SpongeBob SquarePants movie. What do you probably think of when you think cartoon movies? The first SpongeBob movie is among the most important films to me. It's everything I've said before, but so much more. I quote this film so much as unhealthy. The ending is so good I made a video on it. It connects with me so much more as a fellow man-child who has trouble distancing himself from the silly things he likes. But you didn't need me to tell you that. It's got problems, sure. Everyone besides SpongeBob, Patrick, and Plankton are sidelined. More or less the plot of the pilot. Plankton is really gross. None of that matters, and you know it doesn't matter, because David Hasselhoff. I will always be a goofy goober. And you know what? Frick it. I also love Sponge Out of Water. It's arguably funnier, the superhero stuff is great, and Burgerbeard is a great villain. The first is better, but I still love this one. I credit it with writing my love for the franchise. There's also a third film. It has Weezer. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Big Buggy Adventure. I'm probably gonna get some flack for putting this so high, but I don't care. This film is so much fun. From the great intro song, the Billy song, to the consistently funny ha-has, the me control C, control V'ing with scripts. Really, this is a simple one. It's Billy and Mandy, but a movie, with their A material being used. It's funny. I like it. Nothing, though, will ever be as sad as House to Godot not appearing in this movie. Like if you cry every time. Invader Zim, Enter the Florpus. Okay. Some films are great because they have deep thematic depth, or whatever, blah blah blah, that doesn't matter. This is here because it's just flat out the funniest film I've ever seen. The animation is a massive step up from the already great animation of the show. Plot is both a great wrap up to the show, and picks up where it left off perfectly. Doesn't matter. Small green alien man makes it funny, and I laugh. Literally the rest of the segment could just be me regurgitating parts of the film, but that just ruins it. Just watch it yourself. I've heard the criticisms of that it's too lighthearted compared to the show, but like, first off, this. Second off, the show has more than a fair share of the funny, so the goofier tone isn't that out of nowhere. And also this film came out 20 years after the show. John Vasquez went from an edgy young adult to in his 40s. It makes sense that he'd calm down. Just compare how he portrayed himself when the show is airing versus the film. He would try to find a better film, but that's not scientifically possible! I had to reference it, you know what, you know, and it was coming. Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie. I'm gonna make a video on Rise when Mutant Mayhem comes out, so just wait a month. It's got some of the best action in a film, it still keeps the humor a bit less than it, and they're creating some of the coolest motherfuckers in animation. Great movie, the show is never coming back. The Peanuts movie. Gotta make sure to properly emphasize that second word. I went back and forth with this account, but like, most people know Peanuts for the TV specials, so yeah, it counts. I'm a major Blue Sky apologist, and this is definitely their best film for me. It might be as perfect an adaptation as you can get. There's no modern cringe, and even uses the same technology the old specials use. That's what makes this so special. A new story, but I feel like it could have been an old Peanuts special. It's a simple story, but the great animation and timeless characters really elevate it. I love this film. In my eyes, this is how you do an adaptation. It also makes Snoopy an elder god who can control all of reality and is coming for you. Okay, I'm gonna try my hardest to rapid fire as many honorable mentions as I can. Most of these, besides the final one, are probably better than The Simpsons, but the higher highs of that movie puts it above all these. DuckTales the movie. Really is a fun film, takes the adventure style of the show and makes it a movie, with a fun villain. Leroy and Stitch. The ending of the show, as I've established, this show is my childhood. It's not a super grand film, but it tickles me so much. I was gonna make a joke about the ending is like Endgame, but then like a day after I wrote this, Shake Phyllis made the exact same joke, so frick me. Very neatly made the list. Proud family movie. While taking a somewhat grounded show, making it about George Washington Carver's evil clone attempting world domination, that's not a joke by the way, that's literally what he is. It's not what I would have done, it's still a really enjoyable film. The Wild Thornberrys movie. A fun time, and I like seeing Eliza out of her element, albeit with some pacing problems. This is also the second Cosby Chupo film on the list. Include a male and female villain duo, where the guy is voiced by someone who also played a Shrek villain. And that's just funny to me. Mickey's House of Mouse villains. This title always bothered me. I know it's House of Villains, but like it very clearly is not covering up the title. I love the parts of the villains actually overthrowing the heroes, but it's a little disappointing that you have all these villains team up, and all they do is just kick Mickey out. Kinda lame. G.I. Joe the movie. Piece of the intro, and it's so hilarious how obviously Joe is supposed to die. Really chickened out after the backlash Optimus dying had, but it's still a fun time. My Little Pony, Princess Magic the movie. Please just give me one of these titles that isn't Show the movie. Some fun songs, even if it's by Sia, which is cringe, and a whole bunch of new characters who are all voiced by celebrities. So you know they'll never appear again. But hey, was fun. Aqua Teen Hunger Force: a movie film for theaters. Best title for a film aside, it really is just a long episode. Also like it's Aqua Teen. You go here for laughs, not for plot. Trust me, this film's got a lot of laughs and no plot. Also, I love that there's not even a slightly noticeable change in art style. It's literally the exact same as the already cheaply made show. So it made back double its budget with just one ticket sale. Thankfully, I didn't have this film on the list proper, so I didn't need to be the millionth person to bring up the bomb scare thing, which is more well known than the show at this point. And finally, the Bob's Burgers movie. The only film here where I didn't see the show. I thought it was pretty mid, it wasn't very funny, and the story was all over the place. The songs are mixed, first song the Lucky Ducks are great, ending song is whatever, and the villain song is hands down the worst song in any cartoon-based film I've seen, and among the worst villain songs I've ever heard. It's really sad this film bombed so hard. I remember seeing trailers for this for years. I was really happy some more 2D animation in theaters, but it's flopping so hard might have finally been the last of the many nails in the theatrically released 2D animated film's coffin. I'm still interested in the show, but this isn't super special. It gets a mention solely due to two memorable songs and a whole heaping of pity. Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. I'm basic, I know! I tried not to, guys. I really tried. I thought nostalgia could put something ahead. I thought I could argue Peanuts, but I couldn't. This truly is the best film based on a cartoon. Batman the Animated Series is already at such a high level of quality most shows can't imagine. Put in a film, and it's basically perfect, outside of the still sadly looking like a TV show. But like, I love Batman's art style, so it's not a huge complaint. In the slight chance you haven't seen this film, as much as a cop-out as this is, I'm going to end the segment here. You really need to go into this knowing as little as possible, and it can be enjoyed whether you've seen the show or not. The boring answer, but the correct one. The concept of a film based on a cartoon will always fascinate me. It feels so simple, such an easy moneymaker. But looking through these, it's made me realize how niche cartoons really are. I mean, anything can get a made-for-TV film, but the theatrical cartoon is on its way out. Bob's Burgers wasn't super special, but it deserves way better than it got. And I doubt we're gonna get any other film in theaters when you can just throw it on streaming. Honestly, the only cartoons I can think of that are big enough to get a film are like Rick and Morty and Family Guy, which both feel inevitable, But also, like Bob's, I think they might be past their prime popularity. Same reason that proposed Adventure Time film got axed. We are still getting like 5 SpongeBob films though, and Simpsons 2 gets teased every week. But I think streaming is the future. And honestly, I'm okay with that. Give shows a proper finale. Give ongoing shows their time to shine with wacky adventures. The kid in me will always get excited whenever I see one of these cartoon movies, no matter what they're based on. And I hope we get far more in the future. And that's my list of the top 35 movies based on cartoons. 36, I guess, because I had both SpongeBob movies. I'm not good with numbers, doesn't matter. Thanks for watching, and wait, I'm not good with numbers.
In exactly 3 hours, it will detonate.
Oh no. I have a disappointment tomorrow!
And it only took 130 episodes, 4 specials, and a movie, Eddie.